Hey guys, T-Ball here. Today I got a Tier 6 Japanese Destroyer, the Akatsuki replay for it. It's on New Dawn, it's a capture the base mode game. I feel like these Japanese Destroyers do a little bit better on capture the base as opposed to domination. Domination tends to have a lot of close quarter destroyer combat, which isn't necessarily the forte of Japanese Destroyers. But these capture the base modes, the deployments tend to be a little bit more randomized, so that allows them to get into positions to potentially ambush people or catch them off guard, get into positions where they wouldn't expect them. So that's my opinion on that. I think they do a little bit better. Now, this isn't the all-time high scoring game, but there's a lot of interesting topics, in my opinion, that we can cover on this, so that's why I picked this replay. There's a few principles of destroyer play I want to touch on that we haven't really brought up for at least a little while. So the first one is, what can you do as a destroyer besides torpedoing? That's a lot of players, at least at this point in time, aren't maybe necessarily focused on their ancillary jobs as much. Number one, you can spot targets. Now, I believe I'm spotting these guys. Maybe someone else on my team might have spotted them as well at this point. But you want to get in you want to use your enhanced camo and reduced detectability and kind of get into positions where you can see ships on the enemy team that can't see you, and that'll allow you to get the targets on the screen of your teammates, and then they can shoot them. I'm 90% sure you get spotting damage. We'll find out when the end game screens are updated, hopefully with this update. Now the second job is screening for torpedoes. I believe that Benson over there can see those torpedoes. That's allowing his teammates to see him. I want to be screening for this guy, but unfortunately that plane is pushing me back. And because the plane was there, that's actually going to cost this guy pretty heavily. My job, ideally, if the plane wasn't there, would be to sail in front of that battleship. And that would allow the torpedoes to pop up on both of our screens a lot quicker. I'm the far more maneuverable ship, so I can dodge them a lot easier. But because the plane pushed me back, I wasn't able to screen for him, and he paid for it heavily. So you use both the spotting and the screening for torpedoes. Those are great jobs for destroyers to do to help their team. Now here I'm inclined to shoot at that Pensacola. I want to smoke for him. I'm looking at the destroyer's position on the map, though. It looks like he's behind the island currently, so if I smoke, this guy's going to drop off the screen. You can see I slowed down and was about to pop the smoke there. Or right here, I guess, but because of my ship's position, now he pulled forward a little bit, and then I figured, alright, we could smoke at this point and start firing. Now, unfortunately for me, this Benson on my team also pops a smoke, so neither of us are spotting for the other one. Now, I make a bit of a mistake here. I'm trying to tell him to move forward to spot that target. Benson's guns are far superior to the Akatsuki's, so I need to be spotting this target for him. I don't need to be worrying about shooting this guy right now. I need to be in a position where the Pensacola can't see me, but I can see him. That would get him on my teammate's screen, and he could potentially put enough damage in him to sink him very rapidly. So a bit of a misplay on my part there. And here we got the Akatsuki. Obviously we're going to try and focus on enemy destroyers whenever they're present. Do get a shot into him, but he's going to sneak away. But the Pensacola, we are able to take him out, so that's nice. And now we have this New Mexico closing in. Now he's really close quarters to my Benson, which is unfortunate. But I still have some smoke cover here. You can see the icon on to the top left of the center of the screen. Now, if it turns yellow, I believe that's if you're getting towards the edge of the cloud, and potentially if the timer is counting down a bit. But I do have some time to take a couple shots here. I think I get out of position of the smoke just a little bit, so I am briefly detected. I wish they would make the smoke outline very faint when you're in it, because right now the smoke's basically invisible when you're in it, so it's very hard to tell where the cloud is. But it'd be a lot easier if they kind of changed that just a little bit. But luckily we do have a couple stray torpedoes that we get on this broadside New Mexico. Now you see floods were caused. Now take a gander at the top right score. You can see it's not counting up. That means he uses damage control party. That's always something you want to notice. If you hit a flood, see does he repair it? Since he did now, I'm going to try and start a fire on him. I'm looking at his guns. He's not looking at me. He's aiming at the Alba on my team. So that allows us to fire freely. Now at this distance, even if he was aiming at me, I'd probably at least take a few volleys at him, trying to set some fires. I'm full health, so I can withstand a volley from him, even if he hits me pretty flush. But if we can get some fires on this guy, that's going to increase his chances of dying pretty heavily. Did manage to get the one fire, but I don't think that's enough to kill him at this point, especially if he's got a heal that's about to come up, so... Luckily the Alba puts another fire on him, and that means he's in big trouble. Again, he's probably got about 30 seconds still before he can put that fire out, just because he used the damage control party to stop the flooding, so... We team up nicely and finish him off. That was a pretty good play. Now, a lot of you guys keep asking me about these white lines on the screen. You can see it's like a rainbow shape, kind of to the north of the thing that says unlock guns. That's called, it's a perk called Twist and Track. It's on some of the destroyer commanders. I believe on the PC it's like radio location, but it's basically showing you the position of the nearest ship. Now that Akatsuki and their team obviously launched those torpedoes, so he's still in the area. And I'm not paying very close attention to that indicator at the moment. So I'm kind of thinking maybe I'd go support the guy sitting in my base, just camping there. But now I notice the radio indicator, and I'm thinking, all right, well, destroyers are far more important to kill late game. Destroyers are always very important targets to kill, but late game their power grows as the game goes on. So the longer they're alive, the more deadly they become, just because of the spaces for them to operate widen up quite a bit. So the harder it is for players to detect them, the more their power grows. So anytime you have a chance to kill a destroyer, especially this late in the game, you definitely want to focus on that. And I do have two teammates that are in the base. I am going to keep an eye on that Colorado, though. If it looks like he's going to pull an upset and kill my teammates down there, I'm going to have to turn around and support the base. Now I spot the Akatsuki a second before he spots me. It's probably due to my Polish commander. He's gotten enhanced camo for your ship, concealment rating. He's the inspiration for my destroyer captains. So that allows me to get the first salvo in. He didn't return fire, which suggests he was probably firing torpedoes. My suggestion to you is long range destroyer versus destroyer combat. Don't even bother trying to torpedo them. The only time you're going to get them is if they're extremely negligent or if you're extremely lucky. But it's impossible to plant. Wherever he would have aimed them, now that I've turned 2 or 3 times, you know, they're going off in the direction of Timbuktu as far as I'm concerned. So granted, I'm a full health destroyer. He was a 2-shot, but he could have caused a little bit of damage, which certainly would have helped his team. Now we are up 4-3, but our destroyer up here is in a pickle. He's got an Alba closing in around that island, and then he's got this, I believe it's a Fubuki in front of him. Yeah. So the enemy destroyer's got a lot more health than he does. He's attempting to lay smoke, which isn't going to do a whole lot. That Alba does have sonar, so even if he's able to momentarily stop the fight, he's pushed forward a little bit too far. A little bit better map awareness might have helped him stay out of that crossfire situation. But I'm closing in to try and get some shots on here. Now the Fubuki is also smoking, and you see the Alba coming around the island. Now, using the enemy smoke is something you also want to consider. It's an important tactic. I'm going to try and kill this guy. But the thing to take note of is the presence of the smoke is going to block that Alba from spotting me unless that Fubuki can see me. So using the enemy smoke against them is something that you should be thinking about. Smoke is smoke. It's not your smoke. It's not the enemy's smoke. It's just an artificial line of sight blocker that's just present on the map. So anytime you see smokes, try and think to yourself, can I take advantage of it? Now I've entered the cap, and take note that the timer on the cap is counting down. That means that the enemy destroyer who was in the cap last time he was spotted is no longer there. Otherwise it would say contested. So that means he booked it forward to try and avoid a potential torpedo strike, which he correctly predicted was coming. Now I'm trying to close in as tight to that smoke as possible. I need to kill this Fubuki, and so I'm keeping an eye on the radio indicator. He's slightly to my right. I want to get as close to him, take him out before that Alba gets into sonar range. Now he almost puts a major monkey wrench into my plan here. That could have been very disadvantageous for us winning the game. And the sonar activates, or we're within the sonar range, so I believe it's either 3 or 3.5. I don't recall off the top of my head, but that means it's very close, so I need to kill this guy very quickly. I don't believe he has torpedoes, so I'm not as concerned about getting smoked by him torpedo-wise, but we're able to take him out. Now the Alba's very close, and you've seen me, or you've heard me talk about these wide-range torpedoes close range. Here they are in action. Anytime there's a destroyer or cruiser close range, they're very good at dodging narrow spreads close range, because all they have to do is turn hard, and wherever your indicator was telling you to aim is going to widely miss them. But these widespread torpedoes are able to kind of fan out, and so it makes it a lot harder for them to dodge. So we're able to secure the kill, and all in all, a pretty good game. So again, not the highest scoring game known to man, but I thought there were some interesting plays to consider and other topics to think about. So if you did like the video, please hit the thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. Lots more World of Warships coming. Questions, comments for me, leave them below. Love to hear from you guys, and we'll see y'all later. All right, peace.